So we've been having these Bible studies on Wednesday, and some of you may know Vic Carbo. He goes to the later service. He's at the Bible studies, and every time we have a Bible study, he always says the same thing. He says, Pastor, we do the Bible study, and I read the verses beforehand that we're going to study, and then I come to the Bible study, and I read and hear what it is that I read and heard again, which is to say that every time he reads it, somehow there's this other thing going on that he didn't catch. And I think that happens a lot in the Bible, and today's reading is basically just that. It's just huge, deep, and on the surface it seems like, oh, Jesus is just going to go and heal somebody. And there's so much there. So I wanted to take a second, slow down, and go through this Bible verse with a fine-tooth comb. So the first is we have this centurion, right, and his slave is ill, and all of a sudden we have these Jewish elders who are going to stick their neck out for this centurion's slave to Jesus, which for our ears seems, oh, of course you're going to go to Jesus, right? Where else are you going to go if somebody needs healing? You go to Jesus. That's how it works. You go to Jesus. This is the Bible. This is easy. But let's just slow down here, because these Jewish elders and Jesus, there's this increasing animosity, right? Every time Jesus goes somewhere, he's proclaiming that he is God. And so all the Jewish elders are slowly beginning to side against Jesus. So they don't like him because Jesus is coming in and he's saying, look, all you elders, all you priests, all you Pharisees and scribes, all of you Sadducees, all of your power structure is going to come down, and you're not going to be in an authoritative position anymore. So you can imagine what happens if the people who are in authority are told that they're not going to have authority anymore. They're going to have a big problem with that person who's trying to take away their authority, which is exactly what we find. So these Jewish elders who are coming to Jesus to tell him, hey, we need your help, that means that they've sided on the side of Jesus against all of the others who would give them authority. These Jewish elders have come to realize what Jesus said in Luke, actually a few chapters from the one that we read. This is Luke 12. They will be divided. Father against son, son against father, mother against daughter, daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Jesus understands that if you're going to follow him, it may mean that you're going to be against the very people that you love, your family members. And that's exactly what we have here. We have these Jews, these Jewish elders who have decided to follow Jesus. They sought Jesus out for this centurion who was worth it. And there's another whole other can of worms right there. This centurion is a Roman. The Romans are the oppressors of the Jewish nation. This is the enemy. Why are these Jews having anything to do with this centurion, this Roman, this guy who comes to be all of the evil in the world? These Jews decide they're going to stick their neck out for him. Somehow they're able to see past all of the prejudice and all the racism that is all around this. We just kind of think, oh yeah, Jews and Romans and whatever. But no, there's just huge levels of walls and difficulty going on here. So they're reaching out to go talk to a man who they probably shouldn't be talking to, for a man, really his slave, that they shouldn't have anything to do with. This is a really weird story. Why would these people have anything to do with this? And it's not just that simple. There's still yet another layer here, because what they're asking Jesus to do is to go have something to do with this Roman centurion. So for Jesus to go and do that, that means that he's going to have to become ritually impure. He's going to have to defile himself when he walks into that house. They'd be like me asking you to hop into the bottom of that porta potty because, I dropped my phone. And you're going to go do that for me. But this is what they're asking Jesus to do. Hey, Jesus, would you go and jump in the bottom of that porta potty for us? That'd be great. Thanks. We love you. No, it's not going to happen, right? But Jesus goes anyway. He's on his way to go. And while he's on his way to go, the message comes back, okay, everything's been taken care of. And that's who Jesus is. He was willing to put himself out, to be defiled for this group of people that hate him, for a man who has been oppressing his people. I mean, this is our Lord. This is the guy who saved us. He understands that love is a verb. You can't just say love. You have to go and you have to do love. And so he's going and he's doing love. And we know this at some level. We all understand this, that you can't just say love, you have to do love. If our family comes to us and they need help, we go and we do. We have to say, yeah. If our friends come to us and they need help, we go and we do. If our work comes to us, it may not be love that motivates us, but we had better go and we had better do. You can't just say to your boss, yeah, I'll take care of that. How long do you think that'll last? So my question to you is, how do you go and how do you do? If you're just going and you're just doing with yourself, then that looks a lot like the rest of the world, doesn't it? There's gobs and gobs, millions and billions of people who go out in the world and they do all kinds of things and nobody has any care or worry about them. We call them people. Christians don't go that way. We go in a different way. We go with God. In fact, the revelation of Jesus is that God goes to the nth degree for us. That's kind of what this story was showing us, that Jesus would go and he would do all kinds of crazy things for this centurion. But that wasn't the craziest thing he did. We know that the nth degree looks like the cross. We know that Jesus decided that he was going to not just say that he loved us, actually show us that he loved us and give us this gift. And so that's the gift that we go with. And so I'm asking you, do you go with God or do you go for yourself? The whole world goes for themselves. Big selfish world out there. Everybody's decided that their way is the more important way, that they're not going to put themselves out, that they're not going to have anything to do with anything they don't want to do, that they're not going to be asked something and then go and do it unless they really want to do it. That's kind of how the world works, right? What's in it for me? What can I get out of it? Is this a win-win or am I just doing this for you? Why am I going to stick my neck out for you? But that's who we are. We go for others. We go where others refuse. We love the ones who are hated. We go not because it's a benefit for ourselves, but because it is for others that we go and do things. We just had the girls come up here and talk to us about VBS. I guarantee you every last one of them have something better to do on that week. If not sleeping in. I mean, you go through school for what, like 9, 10 months, right? And then all of a sudden somebody says, okay, now you got to wake up early again. It's your summer, but you still have to come in and decorate and play with kids and do all of this for what? There's no compensation involved. It's because we understand that that's our calling in this community, is to have VBS, to welcome children into this community so they might have a relationship with God, so we might build a foundation so they can go out. That is a thankless job that we ask of high schoolers. And that's just one of the many jobs that we're called to do. And so when we read about what Jesus does in our story today, I didn't know, there's two things going on here. And so I want to ask you, what side of the equation do you find yourself on? Because you might not find yourself on one, but you may find yourself on the other. Do you need healing? I mean, is there a problem in your life? Can you name it? Can you name what that problem is? And then can you bring it to Jesus? Can you say, hey, I am selfish, Jesus. I decided that I'm not going to serve you or your people. I'm going to serve me. I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm afraid of fill in the blank. I'm judgmental. When I look and I just see and I cut off and I don't have anything to do. Or whatever it is that you need healing, that you have something in your life. That's who Jesus came to be. Can you confess that sin? Can you seek help for it? Or maybe it is that you can see the weakness in other people and still love them. Maybe it is you understand that there are people in the world that need Jesus and you're okay with that. And you know that weakness doesn't mean that they're evil. You understand that people need to be supported, that is our calling in life, is to not just come to Jesus with our help, but to bring Jesus to those who need help. Or are you afraid and you're not willing to pay the cost? You know what that looks like. Hiding our weakness, not letting anybody in. That's not the best way, but it's not evil. In fact, what we call that is human. It's very human to say, no, I'm not going to share, I'm not going to put myself out, I'm not going to go, and I'm not going to sacrifice, and I'm not going to do. But God calls us to be something better. And so I hope that you recognize that the power of God is not His ability to heal. The thing that Jesus did that was so miraculous in our story today wasn't the healing. It was the going. It was that He was willing to put Himself out. It was that He was willing to hear and listen to those who had weakness, and rather than say, no, I can't, I won't, I don't, he went and he did. And before he even got there, it was resolved that the Spirit went with Jesus ahead of him, that the thing that makes us so special is not that our God heals us, it's that he empowers us. It's that when we go and we do, that's where we're healed. That's where our foundation is laid. That's where we encounter God. The moment that we say, no, I won't, I can't, I don't, that's the moment we close God off. It has nothing to do with the healing in our life. It has to do with who we are. And as Christians, saying that the Holy Spirit may call us to one place and then not going to that place is the same as saying there is no God in my life and I don't bring Jesus, which makes us look a lot like the rest of the world. We are not the world. We are Christians. We are called. Christ didn't die for nothing. He died to give us hope, that we might go into the world to be hope, to be the movers. So that God might work with you, so that God might work in you, so that you might be healed and that you might be the healing. So that when the difficulty arises in your life, you may have the opportunity to be with God and to go with God and to see his hand work. Thanks be to God.